All right, so the first thing that we want to do is we need to be able to set this in a real location. So this 3D view right now, if we look here, I'm not sure if it shows up in the 3D view, but we might be able to set this up in the site view. But some of the views will have over here a difference. It will say either north direction, it will say project north or true north. And that's something that you might be able to set in a site view. Would make the most sense for you to set your project direction in the site view. So that's what we're going to do first. So I'm going to go to the site plan, and when you go to the site plan, I have the sun angle information turned on, so you don't see this north, south, east, west rosette, I guess, without having your sun path on. So if this when you first come to this site, it might look like this, just look like a regular site. If you go down and turn on your sun path, you're going to be given a choice to pick a specific location. Okay, so this is how we go and pick an address. So I'm going to click on the specific location by going into sun settings, and then I can specify location by the actual address. So I can type in any address in here. 1 Main Street, Kennebunk, 04043, okay? And it will find that location and put the house in that location, okay? So you just, the map shows you where it is, and and that's pretty straightforward. So this house is actually located at 183 Benjamin Pickett. So South. 04106. Okay, let's see. So that's the site we used for the class. So I'm just going to use the same site, okay? And then you can see over here we have a solar study, and it's set for a still picture, which that means we could do a single day at an exact time based on a date and time. If you do a single day, you can do an animation of where the sun moves to, either in intervals of an hour to 15 minutes. Okay? So, or you can just hit, you can set the date first and then hit set sunrise to sunset, and it will automatically know when the sun rises and sets on that day and time. Okay? Because of the location. It knows where you are and when it goes down below the horizon. If you hit multi-day, you can then set it for, you know, a month in June or something like that, and set it to intervals that you would like. Or in presets, you have all of these spring, summer, fall, winter solar studies that are presets. So if you go to the spring solar study, for instance, it's already been set to go from March until June, which is our spring. And so this is similar to a multi-day solar study, but it just is checking out just that one season, okay? Same thing with summer solar study. You can see the dates. Fall solar study, and winter they do the same. 1 year solar study, self-explanatory, okay? Make sense? Any questions so far? All right, so what I want to do is I want to do a single day, and I want to specifically look at what this house is how it's going to perform in the winter, because I want to know how well the sun is going to hit the space on the inside in the winter. So if I haven't designed my house to gain the solar heat very well in the winter, then I'm going to, you know, ball it up and throw it away and start from scratch. So that, to me, it makes most sense to start there. And then if you've got it working in the winter, then you can take a look at the summer and then figure out what you have to put up for awnings over your windows and things to correct anything that is going to get too hot in the summer if you leave it that way. Does that make sense? So I'm going to check with winter first. So single day, I want to set the date to December 21st for 2016, which is supposedly our shortest day of the year. Is that right? This is December 21st. So we want, if you click now on sunrise to sunset, that's depressing, isn't it? It comes up at 7:13 in the morning, and then it sets at 4:04 at night. Ugh. Okay? So, hey, listen, we're on the other side of that right now, aren't we? Okay? And I want to set this to 15-minute intervals because I really want to see a lot more information instead of the 1 hour. I want to see every 15 minutes. And then the ground plane at level is very important. This is going to control where your shadows land and how your shadows land. So right now it's set to bottom of footing, which is below the ground. That doesn't make any sense, does it? You see it's going to automatically attach itself to the lowest, I think, level that you have set in your project. And what you want to do is change that to something more logical. And I happen to have a grade level, because I think it's important to have a grade level when you're doing these kind of solar studies, so that's going to capture where my ground is. Okay? All right. So if you don't have a grade level, I'd make one in your project to try these things out. And you just kind of put the grade level at around the average height that your ground is around your building. Okay? Because grade is obviously not all the same, but you get kind of where it hits the building. Okay? So if I want to at this point, maybe I want to come back to this and redo this single day study, I can save the settings. And so I can say, that's going to call this winter. December 21st. And yeah, we can go 15 minutes. Sunrise to sunset. Yeah, I've just kind of put it, maybe that's a little, I could make that a little bit more succinct, I don't know. So then you see how that shows up now, and I don't have to do that again for this project. That shows up over here. That's going to come in handy for us a little later on when we start to set up views, and we don't want to have to, because every single time you go into a new view, if you want to see the effect of this particular sun study on that view, you'd have to set up all that stuff again. So now all I have to do is click on that one, and it's going to be set for that. Okay? Okay, so now we've got our information put in, basically, and we have it set for the right time of year, but I don't have the sun angle here set properly yet. This house was designed so this face over here is facing southwest, so it should be, this north angle should be rotated maybe 45 degrees to the left, right rather. So I need to change that, okay? So in the site plan I have across from orientation, I have true north, and then I have project north. So if this is set to project north, then this is what you're going to see, right? Because you want, when you're setting up your project, you don't want your project to be printed on paper at these weird angles. You want your project to be printed on paper so it lines up with your edges of your paper, and it's easier to dimension that way and all that stuff. So that's what project north is. So we're calling this side of the house north for the project, but where actual north is what we're going to use true north for. Okay? So true north orientation, we have to have this switched to true north, and then when I have that switched to true north under the let me see here, is it under? Yeah, under the Manage tab, you have project location. This is another place, by the way, that we could pick our project location the same way we typed in the address before. If you want to get to it again, you can click on that. This next is acquiring coordinates. If you have specific coordinates from like a GIS or GPS system, you can use those. Or you can use the rotate true north option, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to rotate the true north. By clicking on that option, you'll see it's really taking this little thing, which is our project center, and I'm going to pick the direction that north is facing in, drag in this direction, and type in 45 for 45 degrees. Okay, so now I've got, I got to keep pointing with this, don't I? Now I've got this side of the building facing southwest, and it shows notice that the sun angle here is still in the same position, but it's changing how the sun is going to hit the building, because it seems like the building moved, but we actually rotated the sun angle. And just to show that this is not affecting anything else, if we go to first floor, do you see how the building is still in the straight position? Because this is set to project north, which is shown here. If I were to change that to true north, all of a sudden the building would flip and turn around, okay? So is this making sense so far? So the site makes sense to me to set it to true north, and then every other view you keep at project north, okay? All right, so now let's take a look at this in 3D. You'll see that those changes were made in 3D as well. So if I change something in one of the views, I can only have really one direction for true north to be in for the entire project. So that's not something I have to go and fix per view, okay? So if I turn my sun angle on here, it's showing me the new position. See how the west and south are facing, north is facing the true north direction, because I switched it in my site. So my 3D view doesn't have an option to switch from project and true north, because it doesn't make sense in a 3D view, does it? Because I'm going to be able to turn myself around this building anywhere I want to, so it doesn't make any sense for me to be concerned about, you know, it would always want to be showing true north, right? Okay, so now I want to see what happens to the sun over the course of that time period. You see that this is at, I think this is like a random day that was selected. If we zoom in, it says June 21st, 4:01 p.m., and this is 7:23 p.m., okay? So it's not yet set to that same sun setting that I have the site plan set to. If I go here to my sun settings, I should be able to go to a single day and find the one that I had set before, okay? So I want to hit apply, okay, and now I have exactly the same sun setting that I had from the site plan, okay? Now I want to see what happens to my house. I'm going to zoom in closely, and I'm going to create another view to be able to see it from the inside in a minute. But just watch what happens to the inside of the house. We also want to turn on our shadows, right? With the shadows turned on, then you're going to be able to see the shadows hitting the inside of the space, so you can see where the sun hits the space as well. Okay, so let's hit preview solar study, and we'll go right to the beginning. So this is right at sunrise, and I'm just going to hit play, and you'll see that the sun, I know, oh, you'll see that,
Where's preview solar study?
Let me hit pause, or let me close it here. Can I get out of, yeah. After you've set up all that sun path stuff, when you click on that button, you should have a preview solar study option. If you don't have that yet, Linda, then go to sun settings and set this up first, and then you should have it as a preview. Because if you have just this solar study set to still, a still doesn't play an animation, it's a still frame, so you're not going to get that option. But as soon as you set it to either single day, multi-day, then it's going to give you the option to play the video, okay?
Can you print any of those?
Yes, yeah. So you can stop it at a single frame. Like, let's say we wanted to see it, like this is at 9:43 in the morning. So this is showing how early in the morning the sun gets in and starts to warm that space. And it stays warming that space and coming in and getting absorbed by those solar masses until maybe around 3:28, and it starts to, now we're hoping that the solar masses are starting to give off heat in the space that it's captured throughout the day. The other thing too that we designed in this class is we did assume that there would be some backup heating system, but that would need to be used in a minimal basis. So we designed it as an electrical heating system, because if all we had to do was turn it on a couple of like rainy, really doomy, gloomy days in the middle of the winter because there wasn't enough sun, we designed the envelope of the house such that it would lose very little heat or air in that it was insulated so well that it wouldn't take much energy to heat the space, and then it wouldn't have to kick on again very often because it would maintain that heat. Okay, so you're talking about having to turn on the backup electrical heat maybe 30 times a year, and then the rest of the time you would assume that the house would heat itself. Okay, all right, so that's how you set this up. Now I'm going to show you how we can set up some more dynamic views. So I'm going to go to the first floor view, and I would really like to see this space from inside. Okay, I want to see maybe if I'm standing in the kitchen looking this way, or maybe if I'm standing right in front of the stairs here looking this way, I want to see the space from inside. So to create a view from the inside, you have to create a camera view. If you click on the little down arrow next to where the house is, you'll see that you have the default 3D view that we can jump to. You have the camera, you have the walkthrough. If you create a camera, let's put ourselves standing here. I'll make 2 of these. So we'll put ourselves standing here and looking towards the kitchen. And my learning curve on this is I figured out that when you're putting a camera in, don't do like a tiny little short ray like this. Pull the camera way beyond the subject matter that you're seeing. It's just going to improve the aspect ratio of the image that you end up getting. So I'm going to kind of pull that camera in and show that part of the kitchen. I want to see a little bit of the windows over here. So this is showing you a 30-degree angle cone of vision basically, and then where you're putting the camera's center of vision is your focal point. So that's what we get. And if you don't like how narrow this is, you can adjust it after the fact. Kind of pull this around to see, a little bit more of the space, okay? So I think that looks pretty good right there. I want to get a little bit more of the second floor. Okay? And now what I want to do is set this to a still, right? I just want a still image. And so you can, I think what I'd do is I'd go to sun settings. I set it to single day and pick that winter solstice, and then turn on the shadows and turn on the sun. Okay, and then you should be able to go into the preview solar study. Starting from sunrise to sunset, it shows you how the light moves inside of the space. Okay. Now, what if we wanted to capture a very specific time? So if you go through and you go, I think I want at the moment when we get the most sun inside of that space, which I think looks like it's about like that, right? So this is at 2:13 p.m. So I'm looking at the time, the date, and then you can create a still by going back to your sun setting and taking note of the time and the day. So I want to set it to, whoops, not that many years, 2016, December 21st. And it said 2:13, right? Well, I'll do 2:15. Oh, okay. 2:15, and then just make that PM. Set this to grade, and I think that's it, right? So if I hit apply, it shouldn't move that much, and it didn't. It only wiggled a little bit. Okay. So now I have a still shot of this that I can now render and turn into a realistic image. Okay. So if I go into, let's change this first. Let's just do a ray trace to see what we get when we ray trace this. So a ray trace is going to take a little bit of time because it's going to have to go through and ray trace all the materials. And it's going to give you, though, pretty quickly a pretty good idea of how the materials are going to be affected at the inside the space. But this doesn't include any artificial light at all, and I haven't really messed with it to make it, you know, so that the quality of the image is as good as it could possibly be and things like that. So this is really good to do a quick study on. If you want to make a really good quality image, you obviously need to use rendering. And that's kind of another ball of wax. And I have a great video I found online. I was so thankful to find it because it meant I didn't have to record the video. And it's from Autodesk specifically. And it goes and walks you through the process of creating really good quality still images, which you got a lot of time sitting and watching paint dry, basically, because the time it takes is all the rendering time. So the setup and everything is quick, and then you're stopping and you're waiting and you're waiting and waiting. If you have a really fast machine, you might not be waiting as much. But I tried a couple of different rendering studies. The first one I did the worst quality, and it took 2 minutes. The image was bad, grainy, not good. I have it on the portal page. I'll show you. Then I increased the quality of the image, and the second attempt took 13 hours. I came back the next day. The image was a lot better, but still not great. And then my third attempt took 25 hours to render, and that was the best quality I could get it without having to wait a week for it to render, basically. So, and that was including some artificial light, some sunlight, and different materials finishes. And it still wasn't. I still wasn't completely happy with it because there would still be some things that I would tweak. So the rendering process takes a great deal of time, and those of you who have taken 3D, you know that. You just have a lot of sitting and waiting and trial and error. But anyway, let me just walk you through what we have for options. So when you're rendering something, this is already rendering to this area, this view right here. So you have draft quality, and I'm going to do interior sun only. Yes. We did a camera view. Oh, this rendering window right here, I hit this button right here. Show rendering dialog. Okay? So I'm going to do interior sun only, and I'm going to do the draft version, and I'm just going to render it just so you can see what it looks like. And you'll see how long it will take. Okay? So there's our draft quality. That didn't even take, it took less than 10 seconds, I think. So there's your draft quality. Now, if I were to change this, let's just see what happens when we set it to medium quality, render. And you're going to see those little boxes just go a little bit more slowly. The box sizes get a little bit smaller because they're trying to render with smaller pixels. Okay? But the medium quality might be halfway decent. Okay, so medium quality, that just, I think, gives you an idea without us spending all day today watching it render, right? That just gives you an idea. You have some presets that you can try out just to see what happens, okay? I feel like the image is okay, but it's awfully burnt out, like overexposed, okay? So as soon as you print something, you do have image corrections that you can do down here. If you hit adjust exposure, we can see its exposure value is set darker, but I also have midtones and highlights and things like that. And so I'm going to go with darker and darker midtones, and see that just automatically makes it a little bit better. I can make my shadows even darker, and then I can change my white point saturation. So that, you see how that makes everything kind of look bluer if I do that, or I can make it look a lot yellower. Warmer, okay? So that's just changing the ambient color, I guess. And this intense, I'll just show you what this does. This like intensifies or super saturates all the colors, and then this brings in, like, saps all the color away from the so this is our saturation, basically. Okay? So So you can mess with these, and you can mess around with them until you get something that you like. And I actually think this looks pretty good because it's really expressing where the sun's going to come in and how warm I think that space is going to be. So when you're done, you can say, well, I'm going to show that to my client, right? So you can hit export and then export it as a JPEG image or as a TIFF file or as a portable network graphics image, okay? Or bitmap. But bitmap quality isn't going to be as good as either of the other three options. So let's save this one as a JPEG, and we'll call this a kitchen view medium 1, okay? So the medium means it was medium draft quality, and hit save. Now with a little bit more time working on materials and finishes, maybe adding some artificial light in here, we could get the image to look pretty decent, okay?
That JPEG went
That JPEG went
where?
where I told it, which I put it.
It's just the rendering photo.
Exactly. So now if I make any changes to this, it will not affect that photo at all. That's a really good thing to do when you're trying things out and you want to compare. So to save, like I'm going to save this version and then I'm going to tweak this and then I'm going to save it and then I can open them both up and look at them side by side and see which one I like better, see what it really did, right? Because sometimes the changes are so subtle you can't really see them without seeing them side by side, okay? So that's it. That's it in a nutshell. So what that does is that gives you how do you set up a view, how do you set up the solar study, most importantly. And so one of the things you can do, let me just go ahead and open up a version of this that I have set up with all the views that I like. Okay, so I have one that was all done. Let's do that. I just left it in the 216 folder. This 216, you can go into this and, is this one in the, oh no, I don't think you have this available to you in the students. I have it in faculty resources because I didn't want people stealing my house.
Can you post it on the portal?
I have a solar study model on the portal that you can mess around with. It's like a simple model. But let me just show you how I have this one set up. All right, so see how I've got on the 3D views here, I've got kitchen December 21st, kitchen June 21st. So I went ahead and just set up the solar studies so that if I turn them on, they're already set for the right time of day during the year. So I have set them for 12 o'clock p.m. June 21st. And this is showing you if the shadows are turned on. This is showing you how well at midday in the summer we're getting barely any sun inside the space, which is what you want in the summer, right? Because that's going to keep it cooler. At midday in December, do I have it set for the right time? Let me see. Winter solstice study. Oh, this is showing. I don't have it as a single day, but if I made it a still and put it on December 21st. At 12 o'clock p.m. Oh, grade. And did the same thing. Then it shows how much more light is in that space at exactly the same time in the day on the winter solstice. So that would be a good side-by-side study, right? So once you have those things set up, I made a sheet that has those sun studies side by side, right? That you can see this is what it's going to be in December, this is what it's going to be like in June. So it will shows with proof how the house is going to function, right? And then this gives you an idea of how much higher up the sun is. This is how low the sun is in the sky in the winter. This is how high it is in the summer. You can see where that sun angle is. So these images you can grab from those views that you make, and it's just a matter of you making a view, and then you can duplicate an existing view too. This is the same exact camera. I just duplicated the view and changed the solar sun setting, right? Same thing with this. This is exactly the same 3D view. I just changed the solar setting for that view. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and hit stop for this video, and